As an artist, I think it's so important to highlight the trust and comfortability that a client feels when they work with us and how open discussions can really deepen the experience of getting tattooed. In this series, I explore and engage in honest and open conversations with my special guests through the therapeutic process of tattooing. Tattoos are more than just an art, it's a connection. Welcome to Tattoos and Tribulations. Hey guys, welcome to Tattoos and Tribulations. Today I am joined with Samantha from Scarborough. She is a content creator who specializes in graphic design and specialized homemade dog treats as well. Today we're going to be talking about pursuing different streams of creativity. For example, when I met Sam, she was actually in a band. When Sam met me, I was just a lonely little person on Tumblr. When I found out about you, you were also a photographer. And that was, that really interested me as well. And when I became an illustrator and a toy maker, you ended up doing an interview for me for your graphic design and photography class.
Yeah.
And now we have completely gone separate.
Switched.
Yeah, completely switched from either of those lines of creativity. And here we're just going to talk about what it means to, make that switch, if it's scary, if you should do it. And the answer is always yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Always down to talk about that.
Today, Sam is going to get this beautiful little dog from The Adventures of Tintin. You want to talk about that?
I thought you were going to ask me to talk about the tattoo. Well, I'm currently 28 years old. We've known each other since 2012?
Yeah, it feels like 11 years.
So a while. You were with me through my most volatile 20s. Now I'm at the tail end. Would like to say that I figured some stuff out. Lots of trial and error. I guess content creator is the best way to describe what I do. I was pursuing music. Music became photography. Photography paved the way for graphic design. I never was pursuing a career in music. It was always just kind of like for fun. And I find that typically a lot of the things I do for fun are like an escape from
having to do the actual
my other exactly. At that point in my life, I was teaching. I'd gone to teachers college. And then the stuff I was doing for fun to deal with the stress of teaching became the stuff that I wanted to do all the time. When I realized I didn't want to be teaching, I kind of had to have a bunch of crappy minimum wage jobs to fill in the time and pay the bills. And I was doing those crappy minimum wage jobs. I was doing photography and design as an escape from those jobs. I should just do photography and design. Starting a business came because COVID put my plans to be a designer on hold. A lot of stuff that I ended up doing just kind of falls into my lap, like an opportunity presents itself. Hello. At the beginning of my 20s, do my undergrad, do my Bachelor of Education, be a teacher, and then that was like it. A couple years into it, it was really hard to find a permanent job. There's just all these excuses that I kind of let build up. I was working at H&M still. I ended up doing some design and photography for them just for fun. I ended up going back to school for the friggin' third time.
There's no shame. There's no shame in continuing to go back to school.
That's just me being facetious about it. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think it was worth it. 2017, I went back to school to pursue design full time. Last April, I graduated, which is perfect because that was right in the friggin' middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, so congratulations.
Yeah, I graduated, I'm ready to be a designer, and then there's nothing.
Nothing to design.
And then that's what led me to start a business, which is taking up most of my time now.
And do you want to go more into that business? Yes. Why you decided to choose that particular business for this time?
In my second year, we adopted a dog named Walter. He kind of became, it's so corny, but the center of your world. All of my projects for school suddenly became dog stuff. And that obviously came from the experience of being a dog owner and going to the pet store, and everything is so tacky.
Trash. My dog deserves better.
Nothing fit what I was looking for. And on top of that, he's a super picky eater. Spending all this money on pet store treats going to waste. And in my third year, for my design thesis, I created this imaginary dog treat company. People were like, oh, is this just made up? This should be real. I would totally buy it. For fun, I started just messing around in the kitchen making dog treats.
Yeah, doing small batches.
Literally just giving them away to whoever would take it. I'd be like, do you have a dog?
You never offered me any.
Do you have a dog?
Not for myself.
I was literally just giving dog treats away to anyone who would take them. Again, I was doing photo and design work for other businesses.
Everything made sense.
I have the treats and I have the design, so why don't I just do it? And it literally came down to setting up the website. Once you go live, you're a business, and it's not as scary as people think.
It's not as scary as people make it out to be.
Because all of a sudden, it's you're open for business and you're making money.
Once you get that traffic, it pushes you, motivates you.
When the ball started rolling, a lot of it just happened on its own. Having done the entire thesis project and having all the branding and stuff ready to go was a big help, because I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. I have the idea or I have the product, but I don't have the brand.
Yeah. Did you find that branding yourself, did it carry throughout everything that you had tried as well?
I don't know if people from the Tumblr era can relate to this. When you grew up in that digital culture, you get really good at creating an online identity.
Yeah.
I feel like that really prepared me to compartmentalize different identities of myself. Yeah, and Dr. Trust is part of what I do, but it's not like the only
thing that you do.
I think one thing I struggled with a lot early in my creative career was what's the package that I'm selling.
That you're selling and what sets you apart.
I think if you have a singular calling, it's easier to market yourself. Here's this one thing that I do, and I'm like really good at this one thing.
Yeah.
But what if you're not the best at one thing, but you're pretty good at like a lot
Like
of
a jack of all
different
trades.
I think it's really applicable to a lot of people, like myself included. Yeah, obviously it'd be cool to be the best photographer in the world.
But wouldn't it be cool to try something else?
Yeah, like wouldn't it be cool to be pretty good at a bunch of different things rather than just super good at this one thing?
Yeah. How does it feel?
Feels like shit, but like what are you gonna do, right?
When I got out of high school and I was gonna go to school for interior design, which ended up being an awful program for me specifically. I found illustration, and illustration led to everything else, including this. I changed my mind more times than I could count.
That's kind of like the joke that a lot of people have with me is like, how many times are you gonna go back to school? As much as I kind of wish that I had pursued design really early, your journey is your journey. You can't rush getting to where you need to be, right?
Exactly. There's absolutely no shame in taking your time. Your interests change all the time, and you don't have to feel scared to be like locked down to just doing one thing for the rest of your life.
I've always just been guided by intuition. What feels cool to me, what's interesting me. But I think there's nothing wrong if you want to try something for 6 months and then realize that it's not for you.
It's not for you.
That's not a waste of 6 months.
Because you learned that you actually didn't want to do it.
Exactly, yeah. The good thing about creative people is they'll always find a way to like keep busy.
In one way or another.
Yeah. Can't tell if it makes me feel better to watch or like.
I personally like to watch.
I was thinking about asking you to do another finger one for me, but I was just remembering how bad that felt.
Was it really that bad?
Everyone that has a finger tattoo has told me, like, yeah, it sucks.
You find that all the things that you have tried and learned have all contributed to knowledge in the other?
Absolutely. One of the first photography projects I would say I did was in 2014. I went to LA with like 10 packs of instant film. I had all these photos, and then when I got back, it was hosted on Tumblr, but it was set up like a zine. That was the first time where I was making something that wasn't for school, wasn't for work, didn't have a target audience. There was no purpose to it. Here's this collection of photos with some anecdotes attached that I'm just gonna put out to the world, and if anyone looks at it, that's cool. If no one looks at it, it's whatever. And then doing projects like that had no end goal, I guess you would say. There was no profit to be made. There was no like, it wasn't a portfolio. Yeah, it was just like cool.
I'd also like to mention the importance of having a separate hobby that you can explore outside of your job, because I found that now that I am a full-time tattoo artist, I actually hate to do illustrations. I have found other ways to be creative in, you know, my cooking show and like this show especially, because now I'm learning film editing, taking care of that creative side of me, but also making sure that I am not just pushing myself to do this just because I have to.
One thing that a lot of successful creative people will say is if your passion becomes your work, you have to find a way to make sure you're still passionate about it.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Like, you feel fortunate to have been able to turn your hobby into like something that pays the bills, but you don't want it to only exist in your life to pay the bills. When I start a project and people are like, oh, is this what you're doing full time now? I'm okay with being like, no, like this is just for fun. A lot of people have asked me, what's my next step with the dog treat? Is this gonna be like your career? For the moment, no, like this is just for fun. And it's okay if it only ever stays just for fun.
Because you'll always hold it to yourself that you kept it that way.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people get scared to start a project because they're like, I don't want it to be my full-time thing. But in a way, they should see that as being more freeing. This thing is not what you're relying on to put food on the table.
I think people are scared too when they imagine this beautiful project and then they start it and it's nothing in line with their vision.
I've had a lot of stuff like that where you picture it being so good and then you're like, what the fuck? This is not at all what I thought it was gonna be. I think when people don't realize it's okay to make shitty versions of something and throw them out.
Don't be discouraged by the things that don't always turn out how you had expected to.
Figure out what went wrong. Do you want to try it again? Or maybe you're just like so horribly scarred from the experience, you're like, I never want to look at this again. Don't you have the satisfaction of knowing that you got your own answer? I'm never gonna do this ever, rather than wondering.
What would have been, after I graduated from my illustration, whatever the fuck, I ended up doing 3D models, silicone molding, and resin pouring, and I made little toys. And it was really satisfying because toy making was something that I had thought of since I was a kid. And although it met my profit margins, all that stuff, I really lost the passion for it because it was so labor intensive. But I'm so happy that I had that experience and that people like Sam were able to see how that project started and ended. Cutest fucking dog I've ever seen.
I know, I love him. Every time I've gotten tattooed, they're always like, the shading doesn't hurt as much as like the line work. You only ever get line work.
That's why
it always feels like ass when you get a tattoo. Little puppy.
Little puppy.
Right now I am job hunting just because freelancing is getting a little tiring, and I think you really gotta have a passion for freelancing.
Yeah.
My long-term goal, which is the same as every creative, is to eventually work for myself.
And work for yourself doing what?
I think content creation is a safe way to describe it. My whole thing is that I like meeting cool people that have cool ideas and making stuff with them, and I try not to limit what that encompasses. I wouldn't want to say I just do photography, just do graphic design.
There's something really nice about connecting with other creatives whose skills you can like contribute to as well.
In terms of the shelf life of a project, sometimes a series goes on too long and it kind of loses the magic of what made it so good in the beginning. It's okay to have a project and have it only last however long and then end it. You'd rather end it while it's strong as opposed to dragging it out. Everyone's just like, yo, this is garbage.
There's like the tried and true, and then there's the beating of the dead horse.
Sometimes it's just better to know when
to stop.
Call it. You know? You can always come back to something.
Because honestly, I would love to revisit toy making when I have more of an opportunity to do so.
I think if you found your way back into it for fun, you might enjoy it more this time around.
For sure.
Having the obligation of having to make money off of something immediately makes you see it differently. Because then at that point, it's not about whether I like it or not.
It's about whether or not
am I getting paid for this?
The measuring of your success. Right? Your project can be everything that you would envision. However, if the final product isn't to your liking, but to the client's liking, is that really your project anymore? I agree with pursuing different things and like trying different things. There's no shame in being a jack of all trades. And being a jack of all trades doesn't necessarily mean you're not a master of none. It just means that you are, multi-skilled. You want to take a look? Yeah. It's so cute!
Just a little doggy. Love him.
With the pandemic and all, despite unemployment, I can't complain because it really did give me the opportunity to explore other avenues. Do you find that you have also benefited from this extra time?
It's been a blessing and a curse. Right out of the gate of graduating school, I would have loved to work for an agency. All the opportunities I had waiting for me upon graduation ended up not happening because they were like, our office is closed. Freelancing helped fill the gaps, but I was kind of missing that drive. To go to your question, did COVID give me time to focus on something? Absolutely, because I ended up starting a business. Whatever negative consequences came from COVID gave me the freedom to pursue other things.
Exactly.
The stability of a 9-to-5 is really nice, but
are you willing to sacrifice your creativity in the process?
Yeah, obviously balance is key, that's true. Would I have liked to have a full-time job coming out of school? Like obviously. Me as well as a lot of people just made the best of
that situation. Being grateful for having the opportunity to still practice your creative side without the consequences of knowing that you have a job to get back to. This is obviously coming from a privileged standpoint, but don't let the fear of not having an income stop you from pursuing something that might actually work out for you in the long run. Don't be afraid of failure. Failure is just the start of a new beginning. Finding the balance in your life and in the circumstances of your life, I think, is what the struggle is, but also what you'll be able to be rewarded with when you figure it out. If you do have something you're passionate about, you'll find ways to do it. The opposite side of that is like, if you're the kind of person that's going to make excuses, you'll always find ways to make excuses, right? Yeah. When I started tattooing, I found out that I would have to commute from Pickering at 8 in the morning just to get here for 12, stay till 8, and then commute back to Pickering. It is what it is. I have to do what I have to do.
Like that could have been the hurdle.
Exactly.
Well, I guess I'm not going to be a tattooer.
Yeah. Despite being in uncomfortable positions, I'm here now.
I completely agree with that. You're always going to be in a position where
you have to make a sacrifice.
Yeah. You can let that be the thing that stops, or drives your tracks, or you can find a way to get over it. Should we banish the style? Yes.
So I want to thank Sam one more time for being part of the show and contributing a piece of her skin. You can find Sam at Samantha Gmock on Instagram as well as Twitter. Follow In Dogs We Trust.
Like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment.
And if you have nothing nice to say, then don't say anything at all.
That's right.
Thanks, Sam.
Ooh, this one tastes bad.
Bookshelf.
That's a door?
Yeah.
What the fuck?